So today I am making marinated pork loin chops. These are a product of New Zealand. That would be the tenderloin, and there's the chop. These are kind of thick, so I like to marinate them. I use oregano, and some parsley. Now, let's get it to fall out. About equal amounts of that. I also, my primary here happens to be garlic to get everything going. So let me get the garlic into the garlic press. It'll save us time from chopping the garlic. A good garlic press really does do a great job. Just scrape some of that off. Because I have so much meat, I am going to put about six or so cloves of garlic. It's not going to be spicy. This is a part of the marinade. Some of it will stay on the meat, and some of it won't. So don't worry about that being too spicy. There we go. We've got everything in there. Scraping off the bottom there. I'm going to add some salt. Just opening this up. I'm going to be rather generous with the salt. And some pepper. And then I'm going to put my fat and my acid. My acid today happens to be a Pinot Grigio. You want to do a 2-to-1 ratio. This is about technique as opposed to having a specific recipe. So I'm going to put 2 parts fat to 1 part of my acid. Your acid can actually be lemon juice if you'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and combine all of this. And I'm going to add, this would be more of a paste the way I have it right now. So I'm going to add a little bit more fat by way of olive oil. You can use vegetable oil. I like the flavor of olive oil. It adds a fruitiness to it. And because I added fat, I'm going to add a little bit more acid. I think that's going to get us where we need to go. And a quick whisk. And we're done. So what I do is I take a Ziploc bag and I'm going to put the meat in there. Just open that container. I'm literally just going to put the meat in so I'm not touching it. Keep my hands as clean as possible. You notice I made a cuff here. I do that so that I can hold the bag open, pour in the marinade, and literally close up the bag. Get as much air out of there as I can without, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I want the marinade to make full or as much contact with the meat as possible. So I'm going to give that a nice little massage to move the marinade around and the meat around so that I get good coverage. Then I'm going to let it lay in a single layer, refrigerated, for a minimum of 1 hour, up to 24. But I usually, within 6 hours of marinating, I usually get it onto the grill. The longer you marinate it, the more time it has to absorb these flavors. So you'll have a better turnout. Okay? So there we go. Just get everybody this piece. I'm just moving it through the bag. I'm just going to get it into that bottom corner. So I want everything to be marinated nicely. So we'll get down to one layer. So it's laying flat. Again, we want as much contact as possible with the marinade. And that's going to go in the fridge. In the meantime, because I'm going to make this today, I'm going to get my potatoes ready. And in order to do that, I'm going to move some of these things out of the way. I need my salt. I need my pepper. I need my fat. I do not need any more wine. Now, I've got my potatoes that I have already washed. In washing those potatoes, I was able to keep the nutritional value high because I'm going to put the skins right into my food. So I'm going to cut the potatoes to all be the same size. And whenever you're cutting something, you want to try and get as quickly as possible to a flat surface, which I've just done here. So I'm going to quarter this piece, basically taking this one potato into 8 pieces. So the idea is that every piece should be the same size. And in doing that, I'm going to get everything cooking evenly. So you see how they're essentially the same size, and you'll have to judge on some of these. You might need to make them a little bit smaller, depending on how you've cut it in half, or bigger. And once you get all your potatoes done, if you see something like that, you might want to take it off. So I'm going to get rid of that blemish. All right, get these potatoes cut up. So now that all the potatoes are cut up, I'm going to season it. I'm going to start with olive oil, a generous amount of olive oil, probably 3, almost 4 tablespoons because of the amount of potatoes that we have. I'm going to put some pepper. My pepper mill sounds like it might need some more peppercorns. There we go. It's coming out nicely now. A little bit of salt. And the herb of choice today will be thyme. I'm going to be generous with this. Smells great. All right, so we're going to just toss that to make sure every piece has fat on it, the olive oil, so that it'll brown nicely, so that it has enough salt and pepper and thyme. All right, that's looking great. So we're going to bring our sheet pan over, and we're going to just pour our potatoes down on the sheet pan. And make sure that we only have a single layer and we're not too crowded. And we want to make sure that there's enough contact for each potato with the sheet pan so that it will brown nicely. So this is where I'm going to use my fingers. It'll just be faster. I'm making sure every piece has one of its flat sides on the sheet pan. And at the same time, making sure that there's even, or as even as possible, space in between so that they'll cook evenly. The idea here is, you've got water in your potatoes, not a lot, but there is water, so it'll create steam when it goes in the oven. The oven is at 350 on convection. It'll take about 20 minutes. And that is a quick preparation for roasted potatoes. There's enough room in between. Everything should brown nicely, and it won't take very long. So we've got our grill preheated to about just over 500 degrees. It's going to lose some of its temperature. I've put my loin chops on a sheet pan, small one, got my tongs, and I'm going to place them in the top right-hand quadrant. The lamb has a lot of fat, so you have to watch out for flare-ups. So we're going to babysit this the whole time it's out here. I'm not going to leave it alone, just like you see right there. As the fat melts on the outside, it's also going to start to flare up. So I'm going to stay out here with it the whole time, which is why I chose to put foil on my sheet pan. I don't want to have to run back inside. I'm just going to take the foil off now. I'm rolling it up. And now I have a clean sheet pan upon which to place the finished product once it's ready. So I'm waiting for the grill to come back up to temperature. I'm listening also to hear if there's any flare-ups. I'm going to check every couple of moments here because I do have it on high. And it's going to get back up to about 450 when I'm going to probably move them around a bit. Okay, so now that they've been on for probably about 1.5 minutes, nearly 2 minutes, and I'm at 425. I'm going to take them from what I call first position to second position because I want to get those cross hash marks. So do you see that? We got a nice sear there. I'm moving this over and turning it 90 degrees. Whew, very hot. I'm going to do that for every one of them in the same order that I put them down. All right, so we're turning them 90 degrees. I should say 45 degrees. And closing that back up. I'm going to leave it there for another 2 minutes or so, or until it gets back up to about 450, 425. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes. So we're going to take all of these pieces now and move them into what I call the third position. So we're going to take them, flip them over, and 45 degrees on the other side. Over, 45 degrees on the other side. Over and 45 degrees. Over and 45 degrees. See how beautiful that is? Nice hash marks. And last one, when I can get it. All right, going to close that up. And we're going to give it about 1.5 minutes, near about 2 minutes on that side. And then we're going to repeat step 2 and turn them another 45 degrees, and we'll have our hash marks. Okay, so we've picked up our lamb off of the grill, and we have it resting right now. You can see that most of these have really nice hash marks on them. Depending on the size and the shape, you're not always going to get full contact, but this is just an aesthetics thing. The key is making sure that everything has cooked properly. So I'm letting them rest right now. That way the juices can redistribute within the meat. And once the potatoes are ready, which should be shortly, we're going to plate up. Well, our potatoes are ready, our lamb chops are ready, and we've made a small side salad of spinach and apples with a light vinaigrette. So I'm going to go ahead and plate up. I'm going to put 2 loins on each plate. And you don't have to be fancy. I just like to plate up. You can certainly do this family style. And we're going to get some potatoes. And as you can see, there's lots of leftovers. Potatoes are nice and crispy. on the outside, and they're going to be nice and fluffy on the inside. These are Yukon Gold potatoes, and they turn out really great with a nice crisp exterior and a nice fluffy interior. So there you have it. Lamb loin chops marinated with oregano, salt, pepper, parsley, garlic, and a little bit of Pinot Grigio in this case, thyme roasted potatoes, and a spinach salad. Bon appetit.